Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. As Jesus passed by, he saw a man blind from birth. He spat on the ground and made clay with the saliva and smeared the clay on his eyes and said to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed and came back able to see. His neighbors and those who had seen him earlier as a beggar said, "Isn't this the one who used to sit and beg?" Someone said, "It is." But others said, "No, he just looks like him." He said, "I am." They brought the one who was once blind to the Pharisees. Now Jesus had made clay and opened his eyes on the Sabbath. So then the Pharisees also asked him how he was able to see. He said to them, "He put clay on my eyes, and I washed, and now I can see." So some of the Pharisees said, "This man is not from God, because he does not keep the Sabbath." But others said, "How can a sinful man do such signs?" And there was a division among them. So they said to the blind man again, "What do you have to say about him, since he opened your eyes?" He said, "He is a prophet." They answered and said to him, "You were born totally in sin, and you are trying to teach us?" Then they threw him out. When Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, he found him and said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" He answered and said, "Who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Jesus said to him, "You have seen him, and the one speaking with you is he." He said, "I do believe, Lord." And he worshipped him. The Gospel of the Lord. A number of years ago, after my mom had died and we settled the estate, I had a little bit of an inheritance, and I had been reading about this company, what do they call it? Biotechnical. Anyways, they were into biology and technology. It was very interesting, and I was really interested in what they were doing, so I went to talk to somebody and I said, "You know what? I think I'd like to invest a little bit into this company. I have just a little bit I can do with this." And so they took care of that. And in 2 years, my stock portfolio had a zero balance. I can't see too well when it comes to financial things like that. I'm blind. And I can't always see others in a positive light because of judgments and assumptions and stereotypes. And I can't always see myself as a child of the light because of shame and negativity, and sometimes consumed with my failures and my sins. I'm a blind man who needs healing. And my eyes, they're the windows of my thoughts and my feelings and my beliefs. My windows are dirty. My mind and my heart and my soul can't see. I need new lenses. I need to see through the lens of Jesus. There's a man born blind here in the gospel from birth. There's no other occurrence of this type of healing in Scripture. It's unique. And the Pharisees are creating such a fuss over it because it's never happened before. And how could such a fantastic miracle take place? I understood yesterday, someone informed me that it is even physically impossible to carry out such a procedure to heal to this day. However, nothing can stop the miraculous power of God, huh? St. John is implying, because of how fantastic this miracle is, he's implying that this is indeed an act of God, and God has done this. The Psalms also tell us in Psalm 146 that it's the Lord who gives sight to the blind. And in Isaiah chapter 35 it says, "The eyes of the blind shall see," but this is all at the hand of God. And so Jesus takes this mud and saliva. It's an image of God's creative hand digging in the mud at the beginning in creation. Digging in the mud and restoring this fallen man. Restoring him to what he was always meant to be. Smearing the mud and the saliva on his eyes. And then he says, "Go wash." This becomes a symbol of baptism, where the water of life is drenching this man and restoring him and giving him the grace to see what's really important, to see what a lot of people don't see, to see the truth about Jesus. Because the Scriptures tell us it's only by the grace of God that we can see him. And yet that grace is poured out as freely as water over the Niagara Falls, and some accept it and some do not. So through the lens of Jesus, I begin to see Jesus as others do. I begin to see others as Jesus sees them. So I learn from 1 Samuel not to judge from appearances, because we don't always see as God sees. God sees into the heart, and we can be blinded to that. And through the lens of Jesus, I see myself as Jesus sees me. It's through the lens of Jesus that I see that God so loved the world that he gave his only Son for me. And that testimony is so beautifully depicted in our Catholic churches. And right here, where we see the crucified Christ on the cross, laying down his life for love of us. There I see that God does so love the world, and he loves me. Christ gives me light to see through reconciliation. That's where I see his mercy. And that's why we have the sacrament of reconciliation. I can say all kinds of bad things about myself, but at the very least, I might be able to put myself in the category of a good thief. Christ gives me light to see the truth of the darkness of sin that I'm afraid to face at times. And so I set my sights on the light of the world, Jesus Christ. It's through the lens of Jesus that I see bread and wine become the body, the blood, and the soul and divinity of Jesus Christ. It defies my senses, but something in my heart tells me that is true. When I walk in this church, I feel it. There's something here that I don't feel any other place. It's the body and the blood and the soul of divinity of Jesus Christ that is placed in the tabernacle for reverence and worship. Through the lens of Jesus, I see his word in Scripture. I see his word with the eyes of my heart that show me how to live as a child of light instead of being consumed by the world of darkness. Through the lens of Jesus, I see now. I see and I believe because of Jesus. I see, and like this blind man, I've come here to worship my Jesus, who I see as my hope, my Savior, and my light.
Regina Celi, laetare